Alright, guys, I'm back with another chapter from Ecclesiastes. Looks like we're in chapter 10, and I'm just going to go ahead and get started. I officially started my Christmas break. I went in there for the last day for Records Day, finished some administrative stuff, made sure all my grades were in there, and said goodbye to some of the teachers. And I know I work with a bunch of fantastic people I'm blessed to work with, a bunch of fantastic ladies, a couple of fantastic men, and it's just a great atmosphere. A lot of love in that building. A lot of teachers that love a lot of students. A lot of students that love a lot of teachers. Great maintenance. Great secretaries, pairs, all the support. Our principal, our superintendent. I love everybody. So I hope they're all going to enjoy their Christmas break as much as I am. Even if I'm just sitting, relaxing, getting some working out in, and uh, just doing some self-reflection and hopefully some personal growth and doing as much learning as possible while I'm having some downtime. But we'll see where it takes me. We're going to go to Ecclesiastes chapter 10 and see where it takes us. As dead flies cause even a bottle of perfume to stink, so a little foolishness spoils great wisdom and honor. A wise person chooses the right road. A fool takes the wrong one. You can identify fools just by the way they walk down the street. If your boss is angry at you, don't quit. A quiet spirit can overcome even great mistakes. The ironies of life. There's another evil I have seen under the sun. Kings and rulers make a grave mistake when they give great authority to foolish people and low positions to people of proven worth. I have even seen servants riding horseback like princes and princes walking like servants. When you dig a well, you might fall in. When you demolish an old well, you could be bitten by a snake. When you work in a quarry, stones might fall and crush you. When you chop wood, there is danger with each stroke of your axe. Using a dull axe requires great strength, so sharpen the blade. That's the value of wisdom. It helps you succeed. If a snake bites before you charm it, what's the use of being a snake charmer? Wise words bring approval, but fools are destroyed by their own words. Fools base their thoughts on foolishness. Oop, I'm sorry. I don't even know where I came up with that word. I was just reading in between the lines there. So I'm back in verse 13. Fools base their thoughts on foolish assumptions, so their conclusions will be wicked madness, and they chatter on and on. No one really knows what is going to happen. No one can predict the future. Fools are so exhausted by little work that they can't even find their way home. What sorrow for the land ruled by a servant, the land whose leaders feast in the morning. Happy is the land whose king is a noble leader, and whose leaders feast at the proper time, to gain strength for their work, not to get drunk. Laziness leads to a sagging roof. Idleness leads to a leaky house. A party gives laughter, wine gives happiness, and money gives everything. Never make light of the king, even in your thoughts, and don't make fun of the powerful, even in your own bedroom, for a little bird might deliver your message and tell them what you said. So for me, where was it? I really liked, I might read this first half again. Where was it? Let's see if I can do it. Well, the first one, verse 10, I love just because everyone has sharpened the if you know how long it's going to take you to chop down a tree, you should spend half the time sharpening the axe. And I forget what the saying is, but basically, be prepared. Be prepared to do the work. Be prepared to do the work you're going to do. And spending time sharpening a blade is time well spent. It even says it here. Using a dull axe requires great strength, so sharpen the blade. And where was this other one? There's so many good little. Let's see. Ooh, right here. It was actually verse 4. It was super early. If your boss is angry at you, don't quit. A quiet spirit can overcome even great mistakes. I think, again, I like to use this as self reflection, try to be aware of my many flaws as a person, but it helps me reinforce the strengths that I also have. And I'm like, ooh, I'm doing that right. I'm going to hold on to that. My ability to stay quiet, keep a quiet spirit, I know helps me greatly overcome a lot of adversities and even some great mistakes that I have, simply because I do my best to help. I apologize. I try to stay humble. And even though, and my wife doesn't like that I do this to the extent that I do it, people that may wrong me, I do my best to have a quiet spirit about it and be kind and loving. And while that's not the part that she doesn't like that some people, when they don't return that same spirit, are aggressive. Some people, and I'm sure plenty of people notice that, if you are a bucket filler, if you will, if you know that analogy, um, some people have a bottomless bucket. Some people, you can't give enough to them, and other people simply just want to take from your bucket. And I'm okay with being quiet while they do that. If that's something that they need, I think that God prepares you. If you're staying humble, if you're being quiet, I think that very seldom do terrible, terrible things happen to you. Oftentimes, when you open your mouth and look for a fight and look for revenge, especially revenge from your own hands, not letting God take revenge for you. Let revenge be the Lord's. Um, it can be tough. I don't want to be judge, jury, and executioner. That's just not. That's not the role that I want. I've seen what that looks like for people that want to take that role. It's a crown too heavy for any imperfect person to wear, and I don't know any perfect people. I've only known one, and he's the one that I give everything to and trust in, and that's how I go about my business. I encourage you guys to do the same. Now, I know that's not everybody. I do know some ill-tempered people, some people that are quick for a fight, still God-fearing, loving people, and I have them in my close circle, but that's just how they roll. I don't know how else to put it. I know that we all have our different crosses to bear, and I just love people for that aspect. Just everything that's so different that we all bring to the table just makes me a lover of people. And I know that helps me appreciate God's creation down here for us, because there's something so unique about every single individual person. Even all my students. I teach 19 students in my classroom. Excuse me. And I tell you, they're all ages 8 to 10. And they're such different, unique, fantastic people, different strengths, different hobbies, and they all come from such a vastly different family, just such vastly different families, that they're all wonderful in so many different ways. And it always chuckles me, it always gets me just laughing at myself, that when parents come and I see just the different diversity, and I love to see how different families do things and how it just all works. Now, I know sometimes there's frustrations. A lot of people, a lot of parents or a lot of teachers might come and they might get uncomfortable during parent-teacher conferences, and sometimes there's forced social awkward situations, and how there's just so many different households into one little melting pot, and that's just per classroom, let alone an entire school or an entire district. I love it. I love it so much, because I'm just a people person. I love to see how people interact, and sometimes the certainty in which they act, or the uncertainty in which they act, and people being shy or maybe too bold, or just seeing how people respond around one another is super comforting to me. I know when I was younger, I didn't have that insight on that, and as I continue to seek wisdom, and my earthly father definitely cracked me out of my shell, if you will, in some not so modest ways, just basic. I don't want to say publicly shaming me, but there's no filter. He talks to everybody. So if you're not comfortable talking to strangers, don't ever be in the presence of my father, because he will stop and talk, and he's just got a heart for everybody. I truly believe he's got just the love of the Lord in his heart, and he's wanting to share it with everybody. He doesn't care. It's not going to stop him. And I've seen people get frustrated with him as he's talking to them. Just be like, hey man, when are you going to let me go in this conversation? But then I've also seen people to where that conversation changed the trajectory of their day. And who knows, maybe even their life. Just the fact that someone wanted to give them that undivided attention and a hug and just a kind word and remind them to be thankful, which is often a Bill Hefner phrase that I'm trying to pick up. But no, I love it all. And I know I go off on these tangents, sometimes not even directly related to the passage that Ecclesiastes chapter 10 was. Or verse 10, I apologize. No, chapter 10. I can't help it sometimes. Sometimes it's just reading this book, it gets me reflecting on what I'm working on and just the blessings that I've had in my life. And it's just a good practice. I know that my sister, April, again, if she watches any of these, or continues to watch some of these, she got me thinking, hey, I want to hear your reflection on some of these passages, simply because some of these are formed in such words that they're not very timely, in a sense that some of the analogies aren't very applicable to today's life. And I understand that, but I really think that when you continue to read and make those connections throughout the Bible, a lot of times I start to think about how God moves me in ways that I can't even fathom. But sometimes the most unique passage in here, something that wouldn't even seem, that if you took it for just what it was, face value, that it might not mean much, but the connection that it makes for my life, through my lens, through my relationship with Jesus and reading this Bible, and my relationship with all the fantastic people that I run across every single day, it starts to mean more. And for me, that's what it's all about. But I've rambled on long enough. I'm at 12 minutes. It's going to be a longer video, but if you hung in this long, I appreciate the fellowship, guys. I love you. Jesus loves you. And I'll talk to you tomorrow. Looks like chapter 11 is going to be the uncertainties of life. And I know for a fact, before I even read it, there are many. Have a good night, guys. I'll see you tomorrow.